Welcome from me, Peter Matthews, to the 31st IAAF World Cross Country Championships. And we're starting with the junior women's race. We're at the Swiss National Equestrian Centre in Avenches, in the Labreuil region of Switzerland, just north of Lausanne. And in this women's race, there are 104 starters. The junior women go over a course of 6,215 metres. This race was first held in the cross-country championships in 1989. Since then, Kenya have won 10 times and Ethiopia 4, no other nation getting a look in. And already, at the early stages of this race, that leading group comprises solely athletes from Kenya and Ethiopia. Last year, it was Kenya first, Ethiopia second, and Japan third in the team competition. Teams of 6 with 4 to score, and already at the head of the field there on the right of the screen in the red and black of Kenya is Penina Chepchumba, accompanied by Melesesh Melkamu of Ethiopia wearing 5:02, Tiranish Dibaba of Ethiopia, who was second last year. She wears 6:12. She's up there in that leading group on the left of the screen. Also number 498, Kilifi Berkita of Ethiopia. And this group have broken away from the rest of the field. Certainly one expects the Ethiopian and the Kenyan athletes to dominate, but it really is amazing how year after year those magnificent East African nations produce a whole new crop of distance running stars. And it's fascinating to look at the ages of some of these teams. Most of the Kenyan and Ethiopian teams will in fact still be eligible for the World Junior Championships for another year or even 2 or even 3 in some cases. So now these two have broken clear of the field, Penina Chepchumba and Tiranish Dibaba. And already 1 or 2 athletes having dropped out. The conditions are absolutely magnificent here. Temperatures up to 20 degrees Celsius. We haven't had any rain in this part of Switzerland for quite some time. The course is very firm underfoot. It's a fairly flat course. There are some undulations and there are 1 or 2 obstacles as well. But here they come towards the finish now. They'll round this turn and come into the finish. And Tiranish Dibaba, 5th 2 years ago, 2nd last year, has broken clear of the Kenyan challenge. And of course, it's always a great contest for the team award between Ethiopia and Kenya. Dibaba, a brilliant runner on the track as well. She was the silver medalist in the World 5,000 metre Championship. And Tiranish Dibaba of Ethiopia comes in to become the first world champion of these 2003 event here in Switzerland. Tiranish Dibaba, junior women's gold medalist, just ahead of Penina Chepchumba of Kenya. And another Ethiopian coming in to take the bronze medal. That's Geliti Borika, just ahead of her compatriot Meselech Melkamu. Well, it was a very controlled run by the favourite. Dibaba, brilliant form on the track last year and also on the cross-country over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and she earns a well-deserved gold medal. And those are the scores, so those positions giving Ethiopia 14 points from Kenya, Morocco, very close in fact for 3rd place. Now we move on to the men's short course race. Short course meaning about 4 kilometres. In fact, just over that at 4,030 metres in all. The athletes just lining up on the start. They have about a 400 metres straight, and then they go into 2 laps of this course, a race course ground in the National Equestrian Centre here. Already you can see in the centre of the screen the green and red vested and shorts of the Ethiopians, together with the red vests and black shorts of the Kenyan team. Terrifically fast start that these athletes are kicking in here. Prominent early on, names to look out for in the Kenyan team include men like Ben Limo, who was the winner in 1999, John Kibewen, who won in 1998 and 2000, he wears 238, and the defending champion Kenenisa Bekele of Ethiopia. 5¼ minutes into the race. Already Bekele, who wears number 353, prominent in that leading group. Kibewen 238, Limo 243. Those are the three former champions. But both the Kenyan and Ethiopian teams having very strong squads indeed. Moroccans certainly also have a good team, and they'll be looking to challenge for a medal. Caption at the bottom just shows some of those leaders. Tom Kiplatani also wearing 241. He's prominent up there. Goumri leading the Moroccan challenge. He wears 390. But now, after a lap, 13 Absher. Chris Marzouzi of France is running in this race, and of course only very recently he won the world indoor title at 1500 meters. So he's combining both indoor running and the outdoor cross-country running. And indeed the bronze medalist in that race, Abdel Kader Hachlaf of Morocco, he's also in the lineup. But at the moment both those two Moroccans are some way down now on this leading group. It's 353 Bekele, just behind him 243, that's Ben Limo. John Kibewen of Kenya also up there wearing 238. Michael Kipyego and Thomas Kiplani in their first years as seniors. Also just sure there, one of the other Ethiopians just a bit further back, Abiote Ndali. Now the challenge is really on, and Bekele looking behind, going away from these three Kenyans. It's such a vital part of their sports culture in both these countries, enormous rivalry. Certainly the packing of the Kenyans indicates that they are lining up to win the team title, but Bekele is looking absolutely superb. This wonderful athlete who 2 years ago was the junior champion and second in this short course race, and last year became the first man ever to win the double of both the short course race and the long course race in his first year as a senior athlete. A shorter figure of Bekele leading from number 243 Ben Limo, and on the other side number 238 John Kibewen. So it's the three former winners of this championship, which started in 1998, since when the Kenyan team have won it on all 5 occasions, and the Ethiopians and the Moroccans have consistently picked up the medals every year as well. Now the Kenyans getting ahead of Bekele. Pushing on there is John Kibewen, fine runner on the track at 1500 meters. And Ben Limo, who's shown form at 5000 meters, at 10,000 meters on the track as well. And they're opening up a gap back to the rest of the field. El Amri now of Morocco, the leading member of their team. Saw him just wearing 386. Pushing on into this race. The three former champions. Which one will triumph on this occasion here in Switzerland in the year 2003? Certainly John Kibewen looking very good. He won it in 1998, he won it in 2000, and he'd be the first man to win a hat-trick of titles at this newly introduced short course distance. The three of them have really opened up quite a gap on the rest of the field now. And Kibewen looking good, coming down on one of the artificial obstacles there. Not really very challenging a hill, but it just breaks up the rhythm of the athletes. Coping with the undulating grass surface across the dirt tracks as well part of the time at this National Equestrian Centre. Bekele now slipping into second place. Kenenisa Bekele, just 20 years of age, behind the more experienced Kenyan runners. Bekele, who's been identified by the great Haile Gebrselassie as a man that could well challenge all his records in due course. He won the double last year and then started the track season but got injured in his very first race and then had Achilles problem. Well, he seems to be well clear of that now. He's now taken up the lead. Kenenisa Bekele is going away, it seems, from the Kenyan challenge. He's putting in a sprint finish just when it mattered, and it doesn't seem that the Kenyans have much of an answer to that. It's John Kibewen tracking him, but he's in the final finish now. This brilliant 20-year-old talent, Kenenisa Bekele from Ethiopia, sprinting clear in the final stages, checking back to see whether he's got any rivals behind him. He hasn't. He's overcome his injury and his recent illness, which caused him to miss the Ethiopian Championships, he is now world champion once again. What a brilliant success there for Bekele, ahead of Kibuen and Limo. Quite a challenge on now for the remaining positions. And this is once again the decisive moment when Bekele, with some 400 meters to go, decided it was time to kick clear. And so he did. And there's confirmation, his winning time, 11 minutes 1 second, from Kibuen and from Limo. And there are the first 16 finishers. The first day is completed with the women's long course race. Just possibly here, we'll just go past the American pen there. There may be a non-African victory, because coming into this race, Dina Drossin of the USA is perhaps the favorite. She ran brilliantly recently in a 15-kilometer road race. So the silver medalist last year will be a strong contender. Dina Drossin of the USA wearing 768. Needless to say, of course, there will be a great challenge from the Ethiopians. They include Worknesh Kidain, who was the silver medalist in the short course race in 2002, and some very experienced competitors like Marima Dinbobo, who's already had 9 successive top 10 placings in the World Championships, and the Kenyan team, who include athletes like Pamela Chepchumba, Magaline Chembor, but they've got a younger team this time. And just maybe the Ethiopians have got a more experienced lineup. Well, prominent early on in the centre there in the white vest, white top, is number 728, Hayley Yelling of Great Britain, and Dina Drossin, I've already mentioned, in the dark colours of the USA. They're the 2 early leaders in this race. "66 starters in this race, a rather smaller field than in some of the championships. They do nearly 8 kilometres, which means 4 long laps of about 1,700 metres. Good course for the spectators, who are enthusiastically shown in the background there to follow the athletes. So 768 is Drossin. Just behind her, 747. That's the former world road best record holder at 10 kilometres. That's Asma Legzawi of Morocco. Dina Drossin is really determined to put in. She said beforehand she was going to go right from the gun, make it really hard, and as it is, she's certainly separating this field. 724, also up there, that's Kidani's, and then there's a little bit of a gap back to that packed Kenyan contingent there. Obviously, team position's very important for them. But the United States, led by Drossin, have got a good chance of a medal here. Also in the lineup is Colleen de Rook, who took the bronze medal in the year 2002, former South African, now competing for the USA. But it's Drossin pushing on hard, tracked by Kidane. Legzawi may just be having to yield, and there's a gap of some 10 metres, perhaps more now back to her in 3rd place, 747. Also the back view there of number 722, Marima Denbobo, running in her 12th World Cross Country Championships. Well, now Drossin and Kidane have got clear, it seems, of the rest of the field. Big gap now between them. Drossin has led all the way. Kidane very happy just to follow this pace. Both, of course, have got good credentials on the track, and Drossin indeed made her marathon debut just over a year ago and has run a 2:26 marathon. But a big gap back to Demboba and Legzawi and Magdalene Chemchor, the captain of the Kenyan team, who wears number 736. Daruk of the USA still up there in the top 10, along with all the Ethiopians and the Kenyans. So 2 Americans with the East African contingent. Portuguese and Spanish athletes leading the European challenge in this race. But after being prominent early on, Hayley Yelling of Great Britain has gone back a bit. She's now about 15th place or so. Still Drossin trying to shake off Kidane, but not succeeding at present. 736 there, Chemjor, 737, Chepchumba in the tracking group. Also up there, number 725, Yerusalem Kuma of Ethiopia. Now it's over halfway into this race, and the fierce pace set by Drosin has burnt off most of the field, but not Worknesh Kidan of Ethiopia, who won the Ethiopian cross-country title this year. Big gap though, now it's opened up to what, something like 50, 60 meters to the next group of 5 athletes who we can see here. Leading group scrolling across the screen. 736, Chemjor still in the lead of the chasing pack. Dina Drosin started running this race as a junior and has performed consistently well in recent seasons. She was 10th in 1999, then a couple of years at 12th and 2nd in 2002. Kenyan best 736 Chemjor, 737 Pamela Chepchumba. Not to be confused with Joyce Chepchumba, one of Kenya's leading marathon runners. Well, the gap has just gone wider and wider between the next group. Also up in that leading group is a 19-year-old Kenyan taking part in her first major championships. That's Elizabeth Rumokol, wearing number 739, the third of the Kenyans in this pack. And then it's Daruk of the USA, I can see just behind, tracked by Caroline Chepchenui of Kenya, and then another Ethiopian vest, I think that's Teresa Johannes. Now that's the top 10 of this field. Couple of kilometers to go now in this women's long course race. Nearly 8 kilometers in all. Last year, Ethiopia took the gold medals, the USA took silver, and Kenya the bronze. And certainly those 3 nations look to be the likely candidates for the team medals this time as well. But they've just been locked together, it seems, throughout the whole race. Dina Drosin making it hard all from the start, but she's not been able to shake off the persistent challenge of Worknesh Kidan. Well, it's not far to go now, and there's still no change in this order. It's been a really brave, determined effort here by Dina Drosin, who's come to the fore as a world-class athlete just in the last couple of years or so. And at the age of 30, much the senior of these two. Worknesh Kidan was born in a rural district in the Tigray region of Ethiopia, now lives in the capital in Addis Ababa. She moved there to live with her uncle, who's a soldier from that region in the city, and certainly she's now coming right to the fore as a world-class athlete and beginning now to challenge. Dina Drosin, here she goes. I wonder if this is the decisive moment, just as in the men's junior race when there was an Ethiopian surge. It looks like this. Worknesh Kidan of Ethiopia tracked Dina Drosin of the USA all through the race and has now moved to the fore, putting in a decisive burst as she can come forward and look to the finish. And Dina Drosin, who's worked so hard in this race, does not seem to have any answer. Into the finishing straight now. She's very quickly opened up a 20-meter gap. A superb run and another Ethiopian victory here. It's Worknesh Kidan coming in to win the women's long course cross-country title of the year 2003. A consummate performance. She knew she'd got the sprint finish, and so it proved. She comes through to take the title, finishing, some probably coming up to 10 seconds clear of Dina Drosin of the USA, who for the 2nd successive year takes the silver medal in these championships. Now the battle is on for the remaining positions, and the tall figure of Merima Dimboba, the most experienced member of the Ethiopian team, looks to have got the bronze medal to add to one individual silver medal that she won back in 1999, and a whole mass of team medals. She's going to get another one today. It's Dimboba finishing in third place, just ahead of Jerusalem Kumar. And then the Kenyan challenge headed by Magdalene Chemchor, and then Pamela Chepchumba and Elizabeth Rumakol, with Colleen Daruk of the USA in the background coming in for their second team member. But this was the decisive moment. Some 400 meters or so from the finish, Dina Drossin had led to that point, but she's got no answer to the finishing kick of Worknesh Kidan of Ethiopia. Here, the bronze medal also going to Ethiopia from Merima Dimboba, looking back and pleased to see another Ethiopian finishing just behind her. So Ethiopians finishing 1, 3 and 4, and obviously therefore challenging very strongly for the team title. There's confirmation of the result, and those are the leading finishers, the top 16. Day 2 of the World Cross Country Championships starts with the men's junior race. In this race, over 100 starters. Kenya have won 14 of the last 15 team titles. Before that, Ethiopia won 6 times and also broke that sequence in 1998. And once again, the Kenyan vests certainly prominent, and it's a very quick start on this 400 meters straight before they go on the loops of the track. Several of the Swiss team there at the back of that group, wearing numbers 109 through to 111. Good support by the Swiss crowd, and indeed one of their men, Christian Beltz, ran very well indeed on the first day of these championships in the men's short course race. But up there with the leading Kenyans and the early leaders there, number 76, Elliot Kipchoge, and number 77, Barnabas Kosgei. But this may not just be a Kenyan and Ethiopian domination here. There's one man in there, probably the favourite to beat them this time, and that's a man also from East Africa, though, from Uganda, Boniface Kiprop. He wears number 290. He's in the white vest. He's in second place currently. He was third last year. In fact, he first ran in these championships when he was 27th back in the year 2000. And there's a familiar pattern, of course, of the East African contingent making up that leading group 8 minutes into this junior race. In fact, no less than 6 or 5 rather of last year's top 13 runners returning for this race. Kiprop, as I've mentioned, was third last time, and then we've also got Kipchoge of Kenya wearing number 76. He was fifth a year ago. Girma Asefa of Ethiopia, he was 8th. Moses Mossop of Kenya was 10th. And Tassima Absha of Ethiopia wearing 45, he was 13th. And of those runners, number 76, Kipchoge. Here's the bell for the last lap of this course. In the lead, still a big pack there. Plenty to play for. The Ugandan favourite just ranging up now back into second place. He's been running really well, Boniface Kiprop. He was 7th in the Ethiopian Senior Championships recently. Got good track form. He was the African Junior Champion at 5,000 metres. In fact, sharing the gold and silver medals for 5,000, 10,000 with another man who's up there. That's number 73, Solomon Bushendic of Kenya, who's not shown so much form on the country before, but has got really great track pedigree. And still Kipchoge pushing on from Kiprop. Then number 75, Augustine Chogi, a 16-year-old Kenyan in his first major championship, and the aforementioned number 73, Busendic as well. Here's number 73, Busendic. Now there's just 3 of them. I've got clear. Kipchoge, Kiprop and Bushendich. This time it looks like the Kenyans are going to beat off the Ethiopian challenge. Ethiopians packing very well. They've got 5 men in the rest of the field, but it's a battle to the finish, and a battle royal it is, between number 76 Kipchoge on the right and Kiprop of Uganda making his move now. The favourite Kiprop coming up and running really hard. A tremendous sprint finish between these two men. Will it be the man from Uganda on the left or the man from Kenya on the right? Coming now into the finishing straight. On the inside there, it's Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya, and he looks to have the strength. Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya going away now from Boniface Kiprop of Uganda. Going clear now, running hard to the finish. It's going to be the first Kenyan victory at these championships, individual victory that is. Eliud Kipchoge takes the gold medal in the men's junior race, ahead of Kiprop of Uganda and Bushendich of Kenya, then Chogi of Kenya and Assefa of Ethiopia. This was the moment of delight for Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya. Brilliant track runner at 13:13 for 5,000 meters as well. The Kenyan junior champion for the last 2 years is now world champion. There's the full result. As we now come to the women's short course race, the 4-kilometer race for women. 99 starters in this race. Kenya, the defending champions from Ethiopia and Morocco. Women's short course race, first staged in these championships in 1998. Some of the runners who took part in the first day are running again. In fact, the junior champion, Tiranish Dibaba, she goes in the Ethiopian team. She wears number 612. And also Worknish Kidane attempting to emulate Sonia O'Sullivan as the double world senior cross-country champion. Kidane having won the long course race, now challenging for this short course race. Kidane will wear number 724 in this group. Number 649 prominent, that's Isabella Ochichi, who was the bronze medalist a year ago, accompanied by Jane Wanjiku Gakunyi of Kenya, one of the Kenyans who is based in Japan, as many of the young Kenyan athletes have been in recent years, who track down the field. Already a big lead being established by the leading runners in a very short space of time, despite the fact that this is just a short course race. .722. That's Marima Dembobo. She's running again. Took the bronze medal in the long course race on day one. Now helping the Ethiopian team once again. On paper, it looks very close, perhaps, between Kenya and Ethiopia this time. Those two nations look to have the quality of the field. Morocco, perhaps, will be favoured for the bronze medals. And also up there in the leading group and challenging hard, a runner from Australia, Benita Johnson, who took part in the World Indoor 3 kilometres. She wears number 580 and has been prominent throughout this race. And Edith Masai, number 648, the defending champion, bronze medalist in the year 2001. She goes there wearing number 648 for Kenya. Zor El Kamch of Morocco, also prominent. Stage on the first lap, still quite a big group in contention. Benita Johnson running very well. She's made quite a name for herself, former hockey player in cross-country, in that she was 6th 2 years ago and 4th last year, and she just loved to win Australia's first medal of these championships. 645 is Gakunyi, 649 is Achichi, 722 Denboba. Johnson hanging on the back of that group. A little bit of a gap back then to 6-1-1. That's the elder sister of the Dibabas, Ejagayu. Junior champion Tiranish Dibaba wearing 6-1-2. 6-5-3, Zorel Kamch of Morocco, still up with the leaders as well, but it's the Kenyan vests at the front. Kenyans, Ethiopians, one Moroccan, and Benita Johnson of the Australia, the Oceania record holder at 3,000 metres and at 5,000 metres. We've seen a pattern in all these cross-country championships this year, a blazing start from the front. This is not surprising on the firm ground here. That's the steeper of the two artificial obstacles that the athletes have to overcome. 7-2-4, Worknish Kedan bidding for the double here on the outside, the left-hand side of the screen we saw there. Group of 5. Then rather isolated now is Demboba in her second race of the championships. She's in 6th place, but not too far off, just 3 or 4 meters back on this leading pack. The 3 Kenyans, 6-4-8 Masai, 6-4-5 Gatunyi, and 6-4-9 Ochichi. Then with them, Kidani of Ethiopia, Johnson of Australia, and then the gap back to Demboba of Ethiopia. And the junior champion, Dibaba, has had to yield to that group. Also a good run, for just a little bit further down the field, from Alla Zilieva of Russia. She's a leading marathon runner, former international walker, and is now turning to short distances. She's in the red vest there. Centre of the group, 6-4-8 Masai. Much the oldest of the Kenyan team at 35. She only started running in 1999. So an unfamiliar pattern. Most of the top Kenyan athletes started running as juniors, and often very young juniors too. But Mathai, a different pattern. Has a 12-year-old son, but is now running, and running very well indeed. Great track pedigree as well. African 3,000 meter record holder. Got a good finish. That's 6-4-8 Masai with Kidan, who showed, of course, on the first day in the long course race that she has a formidable finish. So too, though, does Masai. And Isabella Ochichi, who won the Kenyan title this year, also very much in contention. Ochichi, based in France, has formed quite a reputation on the roads in the last couple of seasons. Johnson still challenging as well. So too Gakunyi. Good support from the crowds. Probably more of them have come out on this second day, Sunday. And again, the temperatures must be above 20 degrees Celsius today. But here they come now into the finish. And the taller figure of Masai, challenged by Worknish Kedan. Kedan bidding for the double, but she's behind Masai, and Masai is beginning to go away in the closing stages. Johnson in 3rd place. It's Edith Masai of Kenya from Worknish Kedan, and Johnson's being passed though for the bronze medal. Edith Masai wins it. Worknish Kedani in 2nd place. Jane Gakunyi gets up to take 3rd ahead of Ochichi, as both of those two passed Johnson in the finish. Demboba coming in now, then Demboba, then Dimbaba, then Zelieva, Russia, and the top 10 completed by a couple more Ethiopians. This was the finish. It was close, but Worknish Kedani couldn't quite take off the double. She has to settle for a gold and silver medal, just like Wami and Paula Radcliffe have done a couple of years ago. That's the confirmation of the finish. Masai, Kedani and Gakunyi taking the medals. The final race of these 2003 World Championships is the men's long course race, and the figure there at the head, center of the screen, wearing 353, is Kenenisa Bekele. A wonderful run on the first day of these championships to win the gold medal in the men's short course race. Can he possibly emulate the double that he did a year ago in Dublin, when he took a brilliant and unprecedented double victory with both the short course and long course races. He said after his victory on the first day that he would see how he feels, maybe he'd attempt the double. Well, here he is, and I think he has to be accorded the status of favourite. He looked absolutely superb on the first day. He looked to have something in reserve, and I certainly wouldn't bet against him in this race. But he has got a terrific challenge from some top names from the Kenyan. And the men's long course race, of course, is really the one that most people regard as the top event of the championships, perhaps rather than the more recently introduced 4-kilometre short course race. This is the one that the cream of the distance runners who do cross country would like to win. And it's Bekele already making his presence felt, just putting a little burst there, number 353, but responding to that challenge is the Kenyan, number 377, Abraham Chirono, Commonwealth Games steeplechase bronze medalist behind his brother Stephen Chirono in the year 2002. And just beginning to go away a little bit now. Abraham Chirono. The Kenyans will undoubtedly be working as a team. They prepare very hard. They go to training camp a month before these World Cross Championships. They work together. They're very keen indeed on securing team victory. And they like to help whoever they consider to be the best man on the day to individual honours as well. And we may well see the pattern of them sharing the lead. And the earliest designated man up there is Abraham Chirono. And there's the leading group. Sami Kipkita, the world's fastest 10-kilometre runner on the track last year, Commonwealth Games 5,000-metre runner. He's up there. He wears 379 for Kenya. His teammates, Richard Limo wears 382. The former world half marathon champion Paul Koech wears 380. This year's Kenyan champion at cross country, John Chariot Korea, wears 381. They're all up there in the leading group. Ethiopian challenge headed by Bekele, and also prominent wearing 355, Gebri Egziabha Gebri Mariam, who's last year's junior champion and the world 10,000 metres champion on the track. Meb Keflezighi of the USA, ex-Eritrean, so he comes from East Africa, been running for the USA for a couple of years now and is the American record holder at 10,000 metres. He's also up there, 426, but just beginning to drop back a bit now. Chirono 377, now yielding the lead. Up there is 382, Richard Limo. 380, now taking it up. That's Paul Koech. Been out of action for a couple of years with injuries, and good to see the most experienced member of the Kenyan team now back in action. Silver medalist from this race back in 1998, after being fourth the previous 2 years. So plenty of team gold medals to his credit. And of course the Kenyan team have an absolutely staggering record in this race, in that they first won it here in Switzerland, at Colombier near Neuchâtel in 1986, and they have won it every single year since then. And with the preponderance of Kenyan vest, all 6 of their team up there in the leading group, it looks like they're going to do it again. There are some Ethiopians, of course, up there. There's Bekele, there's Gebri Mariam, there's also Seleshi Sahin, the world junior silver medalist at 10,000 metres on the track. He's with the leading group. But the 4th member of the Ethiopian team, just a little bit detached now, looking back to Zersane Tadese. But Bekele is testing them. He's putting in some surges from time to time, quite prepared to challenge these Kenyans. Bekele wearing 353. Doesn't want to take the lead, it seems, for a long time, but quite prepared to show the Kenyans who've been alternating in the lead that he's the man they've got to fear. And now it's the 2 Ethiopians. Bekele with on his left-hand side the much taller figure of Gebri Mariam. But the Kenyans not prepared to yield yet. John Korea now up to join them. John Chariot Korea, to distinguish him from another leading Kenyan distance runner, John Korea. Fascinating to see that the Kenyans have been trying to run it as a team, but it looks like the 2 Ethiopians are now taking a commanding presence in this race. The 2 of them and one Kenyan, and then a bit of a gap. Trying to bridge that gap is number 378, Patrick Avuti, silver medalist in 1999, and he's doing so. He's joined that leading group. Then further back, 382, that's Richard Limo. Behind him, there's 379, Abraham Chirono. 381, John Chariot, Korea. Back view of 380, Paul Koech. Very consistent pace there, 5 minutes or near enough for each lap. Laps 2, 3, 4. Lap 1, of course, has an extra straight to start off the race before they get onto this 1700-meter circuit. Now Bekele, having made his little burst, now happy just to sit back a bit. But certainly he looks wonderfully smooth, and you really wouldn't know that he had the challenging first day short course race already to his credit. All these other men come fresh into this race, but Bekele looks the class, smoothly going down that bridge there. Bekele leads from Avuti and Korea. Such is the pace that they're able to come through and pass, lap some of these athletes also in the rest of the race. Well, over 100 runners started, and they're just lapping the man from Bolivia, Cesar Nelson Condori. But now it's the two Ethiopians again making their presence felt, and just Avuti, it seems, able to stand with them. Bekele and Gebri Mariam. Bekele much the shorter of the two, and a big gap back to the fourth place man. No question that once again the team medals will go to Ethiopia and Kenya, but this is about a wonderful runner here, Kenenisa Bekele. Last year, almost unbelievably, he took the double. In the previous year he'd won the junior race and come second in the short course senior race, and now he's looking to do it once again, and he's looking terrific, tracked by the much taller and slightly younger Gebri Exiapa Gebri Mariam. Bekele running downhill. We have for the last decade enthused over the greatest of all distance runners, in my book, the great Haile Gebrselassie. Haile Gebrselassie is still, of course, very much with us, concentrating now much more on the longer distance races on the track and in the marathon. But this is the man that he expects may challenge his world records on the track, and it's Kenenisa Bekele opening up a big gap now back to Gebri Mariam, and then back to Avuti, and then a big gap again back to the next Kenyan runner, Richard Limo. A superb effort here from Bekele, going away from the field. Still some way to go, but surely no one is going to catch this man. He looks absolutely superb. But Avuti has just overtaken Gebri Mariam for second place. Here he comes round that bend on his own. Clearly the star of these World Championships. Here in Switzerland, a beautiful day and a really sensationally good runner here. Bekele passing one of the back markers there, Kanji of Malawi. Those lap runners peeling off to run an extra lap of the track. Not so this man, Bekele, out on his own, coming towards the finish. It's a long way behind him. Patrick Avuti will have to settle for a silver medal this time. There's no doubt that history is being made once again here at the 31st IAF World Cross Country Championships, because it has been an absolutely superb run by Kenenisa Bekele of Ethiopia. Here he comes in, running as strongly as ever to take his second gold medal. Just 20 years of age. This is his fifth individual title in World Cross Country Championships. I'm sure there'll be many more to come. The champion, the double champion, is Bekele of Ethiopia. Coming in to take the silver medal now, it's Patrick Evuti of Kenya. A second silver medal for the Kenyan. And still a junior, chosen to run in the senior race this year, it's Gebre Mariam taking the bronze medal for Ethiopia. But the Kenyans look to have the world team title sewn up once again. They secured that for the 18th successive year, but they had to yield to the superstar of cross-country, Kenenisa Bekele, double world champion for the second successive year. Absolutely brilliant running from a man who missed most of the track season last year with an Achilles injury. Illness interrupted his preparations. He couldn't run in the Ethiopian Championships, but he overcame both of those to come back to be double world champion.